Hey, it's Alex here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I can't wait to share with you the pros and cons of living in Fountain Valley, California. So I'm gonna give you the actual truth on what's happening in Fountain Valley. Believe it or not, the word Fountain Valley and the name is kind of funny because there's actually no fountains in Fountain Valley except at the City Hall. And originally in the 1880s, it was called the Gospel Swamps. And because Fountain Valley was named after the many artesian wells that were there a long time ago. So today, I'm gonna break down the actual reality of the pros and cons of living there from more of a local perspective. Now, I lived in Orange County my whole life. And Fountain Valley is one of the places that we've gone by, but there's a lot of things to consider when considering to live there, or even to rent there, or to purchase a home in that area. Now, the number one reason as a pro that people like Fountain Valley is because the quality of education. The schools are known as really good schools in the area, and it's actually ran by 3 different school districts. So you have Fountain Valley, and it's only Fountain Valley Elementary School District that is actually held there. And then when you're looking at Huntington Beach, and also looking at Garden Grove Unified, that is basically a sliver and a section of Fountain Valley, that is actually there as well. But people like going to Fountain Valley in the surrounding areas because of the quality of education. So if you're looking for an area that has great schools, depending on what's important to you with arts, ratings, test scores, Fountain Valley does have a pretty good mix of all of it. So if education is up on your list and a priority for you and your family, Fountain Valley may be a great place to live. Now, one of the cons is really the cost of living in Fountain Valley. The median rent in Fountain Valley is $2,034 a month. And that's actually higher than the cost of rents around there because you have neighboring Santa Ana. And that's where I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of a comparison with now. And as I mentioned, one of the challenges is the cost of living inside of Fountain Valley. And a lot of that has to do with your housing costs. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna compare Fountain Valley versus its nearest city right there at Santa Ana so that I can give you a little perspective on that. I took some notes. So property at 9677 Shamrock Avenue, this price of the home is 1168, so 1.168 million. And what it has is it's actually $721 a square foot, which is a pretty good dollar per square foot, and it's actually a little bit pricey, but what you're looking at, it's 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2,328 square feet. So that's the most expensive home right now on the market because there's not a lot of inventory. The least expensive home is at 11630 Warner Avenue, and that's priced at $451,200, and it's at $465 a square foot, 2 bed, 2 bath, and less than 1,000 square feet. Just to give you a little perspective, that's on the Santa Ana side of things, because in Santa Ana, on a property on 450 East 4th Street, the price on that home is $275,000, and it is less than 700 square feet. So definitely the cost of living in Fountain Valley is more, especially when it comes to housing and the surrounding areas. As you get closer to the beach, it can be a little bit more expensive to neighboring Huntington Beach. But that just gives you a little bit perspective based on what's available. So one of the other pros in Fountain Valley, because I really want to go and give as much of a balanced perspective as possible, is that medical care is actually readily available. In a smaller city that is only 1 zip code, there's actually 3 of the 5 major employers are Fountain Valley Regional Hospital, and then you have Memorial Care, and then you have also Orange Coast Memorial Care as well. So 3 of the 5 biggest employers in Fountain Valley are actual medical, hospitals where that medical care is readily available to anyone that actually needs it. So that's a big plus if you're looking for an area that has access to those type of amenities, and in case there are some health issues or anything like that that you have or you want quick access to it, that's something to note because that's a benefit. Now, what is another con? Well, the truth is that this is something that we're experiencing all over Orange County and the surrounding counties as well. But there is a little bit more of a concern around the homelessness scenario. And what I'll mention about that is that when it comes to the scenario that we have, the majority of them are also by basically the largest park in Fountain Valley, because that's actually another con that I want to kind of throw in there. There's not a whole lot to do in Fountain Valley. Growing up, when I was in college, no one ever said, hey, let's go out, let's go have some fun. Where do you want to go? No one ever said Fountain Valley. The reason is that there's not a whole lot to do there. There's definitely a good share of restaurants and businesses that have taken hold in there, and there's a lot of great places to eat. There are, quite a few restaurants that also have bars in them, but there's not a lot of nightlife. But back to this park, because it's probably the largest amenity that the city has. And this is Miles Square Park. One time when I was younger, I went ahead and I was like, well, I wonder how long it's gonna take me to go ahead and jog all around the park. And I was like, oh, it's a mile. But apparently I'm not good at math, and I'm actually a very slow jogger too, but it's actually 1 mile on each individual side. So you have 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile. So what I'm saying is it's actually 4 miles, and that makes up 640 acres. There's actually 3 golf courses. There's an archery range. There's also a community center, and there's a lot of different, amenities. There's pools, basketball courts, racquetball courts, and also a lake that people kind of fish at. No one's caught anything huge in there, but it's something that you can kind of do. So you do have a huge park with a lot of different amenities. But back to the homelessness scenario, there is a side of the park that kind of runs around the Santa Ana River Trail. And at night, especially, people that are trying to figure out where to park their RVs, and people that sometimes are living in their cars as well, they kind of park along that way, and there are definitely tents in there. So if you're jogging along, I wouldn't recommend running through that part of it, late at night, because it is something to be fully aware of. Now, I will tell you though, as another pro, is that the police department is very, very responsive. Because it's not a huge city, you do have Fountain Valley, they do care a lot about the community. So another pro is that when there's a scenario where I saw someone that had fell off a curb, and then an ambulance was there because we called within minutes, and the police were there literally within like a minute. So the police force is actually in force, and not only that, they're very, very responsive. So that's a good thing. And overall, Fountain Valley, one of the things I forgot to mention is that it says its tagline is a nice place to live. And I agree with that. Because in Fountain Valley, that's the Costco I go to. So if you like to buy things in bulk, Fountain Valley is your place. Because not only do you have Costco, but you also have Sam's Club, which is basically like a bulk version of Walmart in a way. But if you like wholesale shopping, guess what? You got both in Fountain Valley. And people do tend to care about the community as a whole. People definitely take pride in that. Neighbors tend to know each other. And another thing that I'll kind of mention is that there was a scenario where the city hall was looking at potentially putting, more bars and restaurants in there, and there was basically a bikini bar that was petitioning to be put in by Fountain Valley, and the city council and all the neighbors in the complex, in the commercial building complex, didn't want that. So Fountain Valley was very quick to go ahead and shut that down. So they took good care of the community. So I think everyone's preferences are going to be a little bit different depending on what you like to do for fun. But Fountain Valley is one of those areas that is close to a lot of different parts. You have Santa Ana, you have Garden Grove, you have Huntington Beach, and where it borders is it's actually right there in the center of basically a lot of things. It's kind of a place that you pass through on your way to somewhere else. But if you're thinking of potentially, buying a home or renting in Fountain Valley, feel free to reach out to me, because people reach out to us all the time. Feel free to text me, call me, or even comment on this video. And if you like the information that you have here, make sure to go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell, because at the end of the day, I want to continue to make these videos. And even this video we're making because someone requested more information about Fountain Valley. They don't live in the area. They didn't grow up in Orange County. So I want to be a resource to give you behind the scenes, the unfiltered truth of what I'm kind of seeing. So Fountain Valley, as a recap. Number one, guess what? Education's great. That's something that if you're coming to somewhere, Fountain Valley, it might be a great place, for the educational side of things. Not a whole lot of things to do there. There's a little bit of a concern with homelessness. They stay out of your way, but it is something to be aware of. And it's something that we're kind of experiencing across the way, but it has great medical care. It's very community focused. The actual law enforcement and police force are very responsive, and it is a nice place to live. So if you have any questions in the meantime, let me know, and hopefully we'll see you real soon. And make sure to subscribe and hit like if you've liked this video and you want to see more like this. So this is Alex, First Name Real Estate, and I'll see you soon.